Years ago, whenever I was at a local roller rink or at a bowling alley, I was always enamored by the arcade cabinets that I never had any quarters to waste on. As a kid, I would just stand there, gaping at the demos playing on the large monitor, just praying that someone would come along with a few coins and start the game up so I could watch it in motion. Nowadays, I know that sounds foolish, but I was young and anything that had bright lights caught my attention. Nowadays, I'm not the... Hey, is that a siren over there? But seriously, one of the games I always used to take note of was Rolling Thunder. So of course I used to play on the NES all the time because I remember the arcade game looking fun, and because it looked to have an easy style of play. Just run around shooting enemies? How hard could that be? Oh, if only I had known. Rolling Thunder is a damned hard game. You play as some dude who seems to be just running around after some chick that was kidnapped by enemies that I can only assume to be aliens wearing suspiciously offensive looking hoods. At least, that's only what I can guess that the plot is. Starting the game up, you don't get any sort of story, but by finishing levels you get a small screen of the girl being captured. Other than that, there's no mentions of plot that I've noticed. Could I verify my theory online? Of course. Did I? Nah. So here's how it works. Your character is a tall, skinny dude who has a gun with finite bullets. You run around shooting down the thugs, who will fall in 1 or 2 rounds. If you run out of bullets, you'll be restricted to only firing 1 bullet at a time, so really you'll never completely run out of ammo. But in later stages where the enemies never stop barraging you, that's really going to be a major hit to your survival. The pistol isn't the only gun you get. See, these doors can be entered. Most of them hide nothing, but can be used to evade the enemies as long as you're behind a door, so it allows for a bit of tactics. But others will hide extra time, bullets, or even better, a machine gun. Although there's no damage increase, you'll be able to rapid fire your shots, allowing you to mow down the threats in front of you. You cannot switch between weapons, so if you have a machine gun ammo, you'll be using that automatically. But you can still use this time to increase the amount of bullets in your handgun, at least up to the maximum amount. Other than the door system giving you a bit of uniqueness to the game, the rest of the game is just plain action with a sprinkle of platforming. Before I mention a bit of the jumping, how about the shooting? There's a multitude of enemies that are aiming for your quick death, and they're each color-coded to show their abilities. Most enemies will die in one hit, but some will get shot and bounce back, stunned, until you plug another round into them. Once you memorize what enemies take multiple shots, you can usually fire one shot, then duck down and immediately blast them again. You also want to know which enemies will attempt to punch you and which will fire back. The ones that shoot back are the ones that you want to defeat first. This is because even though you have a small 2-block health meter, getting hit by a bullet will kill you immediately. Touching an enemy or getting punched will knock out one of those health boxes. There is no recuperation time, so if you get struck and then again while being pushed back, you will die immediately. And in the rare times that you fall down a pit, you obviously lose a life. So how about the platforming? You do have a normal jump, and this is the kind of game where you leave the ground, you cannot change direction. In addition to this jump, if you hold up and press A, you'll leap up to the top level if one exists. Again, direction cannot be changed. If you're on the top level, you can also press down and A to drop down to the floor. You won't necessarily need to change floors often, but just like the doors, you can use each floor strategically to prevent your death. As I mentioned, the game is not easy by any means. Even though you have a health meter, later stages will feature more and more shooting types of thugs, making that health obsolete. To my knowledge, there's no extra lives, and only about 3 continues. A password system does exist, thankfully, but it won't give out codes after every stage, so you'll be redoing stages a lot. And that's because at times, the game just gets downright unfair. The indoor stages aren't so bad, but when you get to the ones that make it look like you're outside, you get introduced to the weird jumping things and the wolves. And then there's the birds, which have a pattern that's hard to avoid. I couldn't get past the stage during this playthrough. I do remember that once you beat level 4, level 5 is a straight shot through the enemy base, where you meet up with a girl, and then start a new loop with more difficult enemies. I remember getting to, I think, the 3rd loop years ago when playing a ROM on my PC and spamming save states, but I try to limit myself to that kind of thing nowadays. But as of now, the reason I stopped playing and started writing this review is because I got to level 4, lost my lives, no more continues, and had to step back a stage due to the password I had. I quit. The graphics of the game are pretty average. Nothing about it is bad, as the enemies are nicely colored to help you keep track of each of their strategies. Your main character has some nice animations to him as well. It would be nice to have a bit more variety in the levels though. As for the music, it's not bad, but it is limited. Each stage has the same catchy intro that plays before the main level theme kicks in. The songs themselves are well done, and the first level theme is still something that I get in my head from time to time. And that's Rolling Thunder, an incredibly challenging game that's still really fun to play. If you enjoy arcade-style action games that are quote-unquote NES hard, this may be one for you. Final score? 8 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.